Make sure you hit that subscribe button before we get started. I never pictured my marriage ending on an uneventful Thursday night while soft music played and the scent of Marissa's vanilla candles drifted through the house. If anyone had told me a year earlier that I'd be zipping up a suitcase in silence while my wife laughed in the next room with a man she casually invited over, I would have thought they were out of their mind. Yet here I was, living it. Sometimes the unthinkable becomes the truth you can no longer ignore, and denial just slows down what's already happening. My name is Alden, and for most of my life I believed loyalty could survive anything. I believed that if you gave love honestly, showed up consistently, and stayed faithful, people would value that. But life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it hands your devotion to someone who never earned it, someone louder, flashier, or simply new. It all began quietly, the way most fractures do. Marissa started spending more time with coworkers. She'd come home acting drained and impatient. Her phone was suddenly always flipped over, her notifications muted, and her passwords mysteriously changed. She waved it off as work stress, and I tried, truly tried, to trust her. Love makes you generous with excuses even when the truth is glaring at you like dark clouds ready to burst. The turning point came the night she mentioned that a coworker named Rowan was stopping by to go over a project. She said it casually, but it was the kind of casual she used only when hiding something. I had seen that smile before, years earlier, when she didn't want to admit she'd failed a job interview. Same expression, soft, strained, pretending. I told her it was fine, and even offered to make coffee. She looked almost startled, maybe even a little disappointed. That was the first moment I felt something cold move through me. Rowan arrived without anything resembling work. No laptop, no folders, nothing. Instead, he showed up holding a bottle of Marissa's favorite wine and greeted her with a hug that lingered just a second too long. In that single pause, more was said than any of us would ever put into words. I stood there feeling like a visitor in my own home as I watched them interact with a comfort that didn't match their supposed work project. Her laughter was too bright, his confidence too familiar, and the way her body leaned toward him told me what I had avoided believing. But I didn't confront them. I didn't shout. I simply observed, quietly, steadily, letting the truth settle inside me like heavy frost. We all sat in the living room, though calling it together would be a lie. They talked around me, slipping into a rhythm they clearly shared long before that night. Inside jokes. Lingering looks. A spark between them that had been absent from my marriage for months. That was when it hit me. Marissa wasn't slipping away. She was already gone. I was just late accepting it. At one point, she stepped into the kitchen, leaving me alone with him. Rowan offered me a sympathetic smile and asked, "You good, man?" The irony almost made me laugh. I told him I was fine, but inside something finally solidified. I didn't need more proof. I didn't need confessions. I didn't need closure. I'd already seen everything I needed to see. While they laughed over the sound of clinking wine glasses, I walked down the hall and opened the closet. I took out my suitcase and began to pack, calmly, neatly. No anger, no tears, just clarity. I gathered my clothes, important papers, keys, and the old sweatshirt Marissa always teased me for wearing. And for the first time in months, I felt lighter. When I returned to the living room, they both froze. Rowan's smirk vanished. Marissa went pale, her eyes dropping to the luggage in my hand. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Alden, what are you doing?" "I'm leaving," I said, keeping my tone steady. No accusations. No theatrics. Leaving?
Why?
"Can't we talk?" she asked.
Talk.
About what? About the late nights, the secrecy, the changed passwords, the wine from a man she insisted was just a coworker? Or perhaps about the way she glowed around him in a way she no longer did with me. What exactly are we supposed to talk about? I asked quietly. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She glanced at Rowan for support, but he stayed silent, clearly wishing he'd never come. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she said shakily. "This was work, just a project." I raised an eyebrow. "Work comes with wine now." She winced. Even Rowan dropped his gaze. I'm not here to argue, I continued. I'm stepping out of this situation permanently. She looked panicked. Alden, don't do this. Please don't assume things. I'm not assuming, I said, placing my house key on the table. I'm deciding. When I opened the front door, she rushed after me. You can't just walk away, we're married. I stopped and looked at her carefully. The fear in her eyes, the sudden urgency she never had when I tried to fix things months ago. People often panic not because they love you, but because they're losing control. Marissa, I said quietly, you walked out long before I did. Her breath caught. I added, and I'm not leaving because of him. I'm leaving because of you. Then I stepped outside. She didn't chase me. She didn't confess. She didn't offer truth. She just stood there behind the glass, shaking. I rolled my suitcase to the car. The night air cool and strangely peaceful. No yelling. No chaos. Just me choosing myself for once. I drove to my sister Leia's home. She opened the door before I could even knock fully. One look at my face, and the suitcase was enough. You're done, aren't you? She asked. Yeah, I said. I'm done. She didn't interrogate me. She just let me in. I slept in her guest room that night, not soundly but honestly, and that alone felt like a kind of healing. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from Marissa filled with confusion, regret, and attempts to rewrite the story. We need to talk. You misunderstood. Come home so we can fix this. I don't want to lose you. Not once did she say, I'm sorry. Not once did she say, here is the truth. She wanted peace without honesty, a marriage without accountability, a home without trust. I turned the phone face down, just like she used to, but this time, it wasn't to hide anything. It was simply to protect myself. Over the following days, word spread. Friends reached out. Her cousin told me she looked heartbroken. Rowan never contacted me. And me? I wasn't shattered. I wasn't enraged. I was finally breathing. Leaving wasn't running away. It was stepping out of a place where I had been fighting alone for far too long. When someone gives their heart to another person emotionally, long before anything physical happens, the relationship is already over. You're just the last to acknowledge it. A few weeks later, I filed for separation. I never went back. Never reclaimed a key. Never reopened the conversation. My departure wasn't loud or dramatic, but it was the first time I chose peace over pain. And sometimes, the quietest exits leave the strongest echoes.